I've got a story I want to share. God, it made me laugh. And if you know my son, it's probably funnier if you actually know my son and know our family dynamic. But anyways, um, it gave me a laugh I desperately needed last night. And I called my mom, I called his father to share the laugh. And I want to share it with you because it is wrapped up inside an extremely serious topic. And it's something that is not a joke, and it's something that is so vile, and I can't believe this is the conversations we're having, but I think part of the reason that we are here is because I don't believe that we've ever actually taught consent correctly. Um, and I think that we have not put enough emphasis on sexual assault, and we do not take it seriously enough. And when we ask why women don't come out and say something, why they stay quiet for so long, because we just elected a rapist as our next president. Electing a rapist as your president for the second time, 100% shows women and men, maybe especially the men, sexual assault's really not that bad. Really doesn't fucking matter. No big deal. I mean, you're not completely destroying another person's life. But that's a story for another day. Because right now, I want to talk about Nick Fuentes and his absolute disgusting, vile ugh, message that it's your body, it's my choice. There's so many layers and complexities in that sentence, especially knowing it's coming from an alt right, wildly open white supremacist who is backs taking away all of women's rights. So, first of all, um, I think the biggest takeaway, and I think what we can all agree on, is that your body, my choice, the way it should be received is the fact that they can rape us and there's not a fucking thing we can do about it. They can rape us and intentionally get us pregnant or attempt to get us pregnant and force us to keep and raise that baby. But it goes so much deeper than that. Like really. I mean, the amount of vile and disgust. And I want to be perfectly clear because I think in a lot of cases, and I do believe this, in a lot of cases in the school setting, I don't believe, especially when we're talking about middle schoolers, ninth, 10th graders, 11th and 12th, maybe a little bit more. But remember, our frontal lobe is not fully developed until 25. I don't know if they even completely really grasp what it means. So I think we need to make sure that we are having a conversation with our boys that this was not tolerated. This is not a joke. This is serious. We need to be having a conversation with our girls. This is not a joke. Do not let anybody make this joke. And when it comes to me and my daughter, if those words come out of somebody's mouth, I will press charges. 100%. I will press charges of sexual harassment. I'll take that statement to me, that statement's a threat. Like you just made a threat to me. Um and I think we need to make sure that we are telling our boys just simply by saying those words, you could end up on having a record, whether you ever meant them or not. So, and when I say this, this is something that we need to have these discussions with our boys, with our kids on an age appropriate level. I don't give a fuck what age they are. Okay. So, my conversation that I had last night with my son, who's 8, is going to look wildly different than a mom who's having a conversation with a 14-year-old or a mom who's having a conversation with a 17-year-old, right? And to be totally honest, women, we should be having this conversation with our husbands, our partners, our boyfriends, our friends, just the same, not just our kids, but educate all of the men in your life. And if they snicker, if they shrug their shoulders, if they don't think this is the most vile fucking thing they've ever heard, lose them. Like, because I will tell you right now, when I repeat this statement to men in my life, friends in my life, if they're like, yeah, but it doesn't really mean anything, you are done. There will not be a second chance. There's no coming back, not in this political climate. So I'm going to tell you how I went about having this conversation with my 8-year-olds. Now, I've always been very, very upfront with my kids. I've always been extremely real life. I don't hide things from them. Um in any way. I keep it age appropriate. So, we've had the conversation that Donald Trump has hurt many women, that he does not want to protect women, that he should be in jail for the things that he does. Now, I don't think my 8-year-old truly understands clearly what true sexual assault is or the full devastation of it, right? But again, keeping it on level, when he was 3, my daughter's friend came over and she had really long hair. It was gorgeous. It was such gorgeous hair. And he couldn't stop petting it. Like he was 3, right? He might have still even been in diapers. I'm not sure. But he was obsessed with her hair and she kept saying, "Kellen, stop. Kellen, stop." I fucking lost it. Lost it. Like, to the point I had to call my friend's mother. I had to call my friend who was her mother and say, like, if Quinn comes home and tells you that, like, I screamed bloody murder and went bananas on Callan, I absolutely did. Because when someone tells you to stop touching them, you do not get a second chance. You fucking stop. And I don't care what age you are. I was just joking. There is no second chance. If somebody says stop and you don't, you are automatically at fault. You are automatically in the wrong and you are automatically the one in trouble. And I mean, I went bananas. So this is a conversation that's been like a long time coming in our house, right? And I grew up in white suburbia. Didn't realize that racism was really still such a problem until I was in my mid 20s. And when we moved last year, a little over a year ago, we moved to the outside of Pittsburgh, just barely outside the city. And we are in an extremely diverse neighborhood. And it makes my heart so happy because that was one of the things I really desperately wanted my kids to get to experience. And we have talked at great length about white privilege. Again, to whatever extent you can do that with an 8-year-old, right? That he has friends with brown skin that are not going to be allowed to do things or are going to be taught to do things differently than he is. And it's for their own safety. That there are people out there who don't like people just because they have brown skin. And that it is our job, because we, in his words, we have peach skin. It is our job to make sure that we do everything we can to insert ourselves in between whenever possible and protect and be the fence and protect brown skin. We have to stand up when we hear somebody who is being mean. It is our job to say, whoa, stop. And sometimes you might get punched. Sometimes it's going to hurt. Sometimes you're going to get in trouble, but you're doing it all for the right reason. And that is the only thing that matters. So we have talked a lot about this, that his peach skin will make his voice stand that much farther out and rise that much farther above anybody without. And that because he's a boy, his voice will go farther, right? And that with that comes great expectations and great responsibility, because I have been perfectly clear from the very beginning with him that he is 100% his own person. He gets to make all his own decisions. He is his own autonomy. But over my dead body, am I raising a man that is anything but aware of his privilege and using that privilege to amplify the voices that need to be heard. And the cool thing is when you start talking to your kids when they're babies, they're babies, right? Like you start talking and you start having these conversations. Guess what? It's not awkward when they're 8 and you call them over and you say, hey, buddy, come here. Come here. I got to know. Have people at school been talking about Trump? Have they said anything that makes you not really feel good inside? And he's like, not really. I'm like, okay, well, I have another question for you. Have you heard any of the boys say to any of the girls or to anybody, your body, my choice? He looked at me and he was like, no. And then he's like, Mom, yeah. He's like, what does that even mean? And I said, come here. And I sat him down next to me and I said, well, unfortunately, you already know that Trump is a really bad person and that he has hurt a lot of people. And one of the ways that he has hurt people is by touching people who don't want to be touched. And that's not okay, right? And that's the reason he should be in jail. He shouldn't be allowed to be president. But because he is the president and he has done this, now there's a lot of people who think that they should be allowed to touch other people without permission. And I mean, his little face it was heartbreaking because his little face was like appalled, like, what? So, of course, I need to always make sure that, we understand. So I said, who's allowed to touch your body? And he's like, me, myself. I said, who can touch mommy's body? And he's like, you. I said, who can touch Busha's body, which is my mom? He's like, just Busha. Right. And I said, and what is our number one rule? The number one thing that we never, ever, ever do. And God bless him. He looks at me and he goes, vote for Trump. Yes, sweet baby, you are not wrong. You are correct. We do not ever vote for Trump. Okay, good. But okay, so what's our second rule, right? And I'm thinking like, we're going to get there because this is what we're talking about. Like we have talked at length about consent in my house. So, okay, let's try this again. What is that number one thing? Like, what is the second number one thing that we never, ever, ever do? And he says, be mean to Black people. Yes. And my mama heart swelled up so big, especially in this political climate. Like I got so warm and fuzzy inside. But also I was like, we're still over in left field from where I want you to be in this conversation. So I said, let me help you out a little bit. All right. Do you ever touch anybody's body without asking? And he's like, no. I said, do we wait for them to say stop? Or do we wait for them to say it's okay to touch them. And he's like, we wait for them to say we can touch them. And I was like, yes, because that's consent, right? Consent, and again, I'm always going, consent is not the absence of no. Somebody not saying no does not mean they've consented. You can only consent with YES. The absence of a yes is no consent. So I said, now, can you do mommy a favor? And he's like, okay. And he kind of looked at me like he wasn't really sure what I was going to ask him. And I said, can you make sure that you tell mommy if you ever hear anybody at school saying those words? It's really important. He's like, well, why is it important for me to tell you, mom? And I said, because those words, maybe the boy is joking. Maybe he doesn't know what he's saying because his mommy didn't tell him how bad it is. But those words might mean that he wants to hurt that girl. And we need to do everything we can. And he jumped in to protect her. Yes. So that means in this case, only an adult can protect, right? You have to tell an adult. So can you promise me that you're going to tell mommy? And he shrugs his shoulders. And I was like, kid, you're killing me tonight. And he's like, Mom, if I'm at school and I hear this, don't you think I should tell a teacher since they're right there? Yes, dude, I do. I do. You are right. You should tell a teacher. Can you also promise that you'll tell mommy, though, too? Tell a teacher and mommy. And he's like, okay, I can do that. I said, okay, good. I said, buddy, I got one more question. Okay. I just want to know, how do you think mommy would feel if I ever found out that you said those words to somebody else? And he looked at me and his eyes got so big. And he's like, I think you would be really, 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 like probably more than really mad at me, mom. I said, yeah, buddy, I would be really mad. Like, I don't, I don't know what I would do because that's how mad I would be. I said, but I want you to remember when we've seen a couple court cases and on the news and the boy hurt the girl. And he's like, yeah. I said, it, and what if I've told you this before. I've told you this from the day you were born. If I find out that you ever do that, that you ever threaten that, and that you find yourself sitting in that chair because you hurt anyone, where's mommy going to be sitting? He's like, I know, mom. Right. I'm not sitting behind you. I will not back you. I will love you because I will always love you. I will love you no matter what you do. But I will be sitting behind the victim and they will have my full support to prosecute you. And God help if you get a Brock Turner sentence, because I myself will write the judge and tell them that that is absolutely not enough. He's like, okay, mom, I get it. I would never hurt a girl. Can I go play Legos now? Yes, dude. Yes, you can. And I don't want to scare my child, right? He's scared enough. He has enough to worry about on his plate. But I need him to know that this is more serious than anything else. I need him to know that in my eyes, I need him to understand how important this fight is and why I am committed to fighting it. And if I can have that conversation with my 8-year-old, and if it's not the first conversation I've had with my 8-year-old, I assure you that you can have this conversation with your child too, and with your husband, and with your boyfriend, and with your father. Because I have to tell you, this one doesn't fly. And it's up to us. There is no more. We, as women, we have spent too many years laughing at shit like this because we were insecure, because we didn't know better, because we were working at the bar and we didn't want to lose out on the tip, right? No more. Fuck no. I wish I don't have many regrets in my life, but if I could do one thing, I would go back to my like 19, 20-year-old me, and I would let her rip into every fucking disgusting man who put their hand on my ass when they never should have, who whispered in my ear, who made crass, disgusting comments that made my skin crawl, who I smiled and laughed at with to keep myself out of danger because I felt safer laughing than speaking up because I needed the tip to pay the bills, right? Like, no, done. So I'm just saying, just know that. Um, those days are behind us. And we were raised by a generation that told us to smile and laugh and just shake it off because that's just how they are, right? Boys will be boys, shake it off. That's the generation, that was the advice that we were given. That's what was said to us. And I am saying outright, fuck no. I'm telling every girl out there, I don't care how old you are, do not ever fucking laugh. Do not laugh. Go out and fucking press charges. Physically remove their fucking hands. Get angry. And if you want to know something I wish I knew then that I didn't know, when you put that boundary up, when you say, I will not fucking put up with this, you will not treat me this way, and you raise your vibration, whatever he was going to leave you in a tip that you're scared of walking away from because you need the money to pay your bills, and I totally fucking get it. But when you put that boundary up and you put it in place and you tell the universe you're not fucking around, guess what? You're going to make 6 times that amount because you raised your vibration. So by all means, girls, women, femmes, no more. No fucking more.